Get ready to learn some rock and roll. Now in this lesson, I'm going to teach you one of my favorite rock grooves. I call it rock groove number 1, and it goes like this. So whether you want to sound like Billy Joel, Elton John, or Jerry Lee Lewis, this is the rock groove for you. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right, guys, we are here in our lesson setup, and what we're going to do is I'm just going to walk you through exactly what I'm doing, show you what's going on in each hand. We're going to put the hands together, and you're going to be sounding like a true rock and roller by the end of this lesson. Let's go ahead and play this. I want you to see the overhead, and then I'll show you exactly what I'm doing. Check it out, guys. That sounds super cool. I hope you're excited to learn this because I sure was excited when I heard this the first time and my teacher taught it to me. All right, guys, what are we doing? This is basically a 12-bar blues pattern. So we're kind of in the key of C. We're playing like a basic 12-bar blues. So, we're on the C7 chord for a little while, and then, we're up here on the F7 chord for a little while. And you can see this actually here in the lesson sheet up here on the top left of your screen. I've got all the chords written out for you. By the way, guys, this lesson sheet, which you're seeing here on the screen, is downloadable and printable for our members at pianowithjohnny.com. So if you want to check out the membership, I'll put a link below. But guys, this follows the 12-bar blues form. And so what I basically want to do is walk you through the left hand first and kind of show you this basic rock and roll left hand pattern. This is one of the most important left-hand patterns. If you want to play rock and roll and you listen to the pros, this is one of the ones you're going to hear a lot of the time. Okay, guys, what am I doing? Basically, I'm starting on a low, kind of a C position. By the way, the red dot here is middle C. And I'm going twice on the low C. I'm going up to that minor third in the sixth. This is the tritone interval. Really, really cool. It kind of has a dissonant quality to it. And then the third and the fifth, the E and the G, okay? So once more, twice on the C, E flat and A, back down to C, E and G, and then I go C, E flat and A, down to E and G, okay? This, guys, is the basic pattern, okay? What I want you to do is practice this, and you can start off really slowly, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? Now, there's different fingering options. Sometimes my students will start here with the third finger on the E, and then you could go like finger 2 on the E if you wanted. Do that. Doesn't really matter. My philosophy of fingering is usually there's multiple ways that you can finger a passage of music. So you can try whatever fingering works best, but what you want to get this is up to tempo. I'd kind of start at a slow tempo. Okay, and that's a kind of a medium groove, and then speed it up. Want to get this to about 120 beats per minute. This is a really good rock and roll tempo. You could go faster, but this is kind of your medium speed. What I would do is try this on the other chords. So do this on the C7, then try it on the F7. Okay, I'm starting twice on the F, A flat and D, back down to F, and then A and C, F, A flat and D, and then A and C. Okay, same pattern. That's the starting point right there, tritone, going up to the A and C, back down, A flat and D, up to the A and C, okay? And you want to just practice this by itself. Okay, you see what I'm doing? I'm just trying to groove on it. I'm not really thinking about the notes. I'm just trying to feel that general groove. groove, okay? So that's gonna be in the F position. Now real quick guys, I wanna let you know if you're enjoying this course, we have the full-length 1950s rock and roll course at pianowithjohnny.com. This is a 3.5-hour course where we do a deep dive on 1950s rock and roll piano. It's super fun, you're gonna learn how to solo. So if you wanna learn more about rock and roll, you can check out the full-length course at pianowithjohnny.com. The final chord that you really need to know is the G7 chord. That's a really cool one, okay? Twice on the G, up to B flat and E, gets a tritone, G, B and D, back down to G, tritone, and then the B and the D, okay? That's the basic pattern on your G7, and you want to speed this up. You guys see how that works? Okay, you can start off really slowly. Bum, bum, bum. That's cool, okay? You don't want to start off too fast, okay? If you're struggling, make sure it's really, really slow and then gradually increase your speed. Now this follows the 12-bar blues format, and if you're not familiar with this format, check out our blues roadmap at pianowithjohnny.com. We currently have over 18 full-length courses for all playing levels where I break down the most essentials of blues piano. I teach you the blues form. We talk about bass lines. I have a whole course called Rockin' Blues Bass Lines. We talk about soloing and improv. We have the Bible of Blues Riffs, 120 blues and rock riffs for piano. Many of those riffs I played at the beginning of this video. So if you want to check out more about blues and rock, go to the blues roadmap at pianowithjohnny.com. All right, guys, let's keep going here with the left hand. So that's the basic left hand pattern. What you want to do is work through all the chords. So the first 4 measures of the tune is on a C7 chord. So you're basically going to do this for 4 measures. Let me show this to you. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's measure 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's measure 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and measure 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? Now here's where we skip to the F7, and this is really important, guys, is when we move to the next chord, there's a little trick that I like to do. It's kind of an intermediate level thing, but I do like this. I go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And I basically anticipate the next chord before we get there. This is a quick 5-1. And I talk about this in a lot of our lessons at pianowithjohnny.com, whether you're doing a blues shuffle or you're doing burlesque blues like this, okay? Or whether you're doing slow blues or jazzy blues, we like to anticipate the chords. We talk a lot about this, and that's what we're doing here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, okay? And that sets up the new measure, okay? This gets us to the F chord, and then guess what? Here, I'm gonna go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. I'm going to set up the new chord, okay? It's called a quick 5-1. I talk about it a lot in our other lessons at pianowithjohnny.com, okay? So once again, guys, once more, 4 times on the first chord, C7, 2 times on the F7. That's once, that's twice, and now back to the C7, okay? It's a pretty easy format. All right, the final selection of chords, we're going to hop up to that G7, but we're going to anticipate it. Remember this? And the way we anticipate is coming from the C chord, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. That's a quick 5-1 from the D to the G. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then from here, we're going to do an anticipation to the F and 1. That's the C to the F. You guys see that? And then now to the G, or to the C chord, and 1. That's a 5-1. And then we're going to do a fun little thing. Okay, kind of a rock and roll thing that you do at the end of the phrase. This is just a big G7 chord, G, D, and F. All right, so guys, that's the full left hand. Let's go ahead and play it once with the backing track. And by the way, this backing track is included for our members at pianowithjohnny.com. They can download all of the backing tracks that come with our courses, and we have a ton of courses on these styles like jazz and blues and boogie. I'll tell you guys more at the end of the lesson today. All right, guys, here's the backing track. Go ahead and play along with me. Here we go. Sounding great. To the F. Here it is. See that anticipation? Back to the C. Sounding great. Here's the G. To F. And back to C. And here's the hits. All right, so you get to really have fun with that. All right, you ready for the right hand? All right, guys, here's how the right hand works. Check it out. right, what am I doing? I'm starting off on a C minor chord. E flat, G, and C. This is fingers 2, 3, and 5, okay? And what I'm doing is I'm doing a strike here and then a slide up to the E. We want that blues sound, and the blues sound comes from our blue notes. E flat is a blue note. We talk a lot about this in our blues courses. So we're gonna start here on that C minor, roll it up to an E, and we're gonna pivot on the C up to an F major chord, F, A, and C, back down to C, and then here's a slide, okay? Just like that. We're gonna hit the E flat and slide quickly up to the E. You see what I'm doing? So there's the strike, there's the slide, okay? And that's gonna be faster. 1 and 2 and 3. See how fast that is? And 4, same thing. And then we're gonna start, basically this is where we started, is on this chord, and then that slow slide up to the E, okay? Here it is one more time. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. Notice that and 1 is slow, and 2, and 3. Okay, on 3, it's fast. Make sure you play it this way. Now guys, we do have the lesson sheet here. I've actually notated all of this for you, so if you read sheet music, it's right here in front of you. And by the way, speaking of the sheet music, we have the smart sheet music as well at Piano with Johnny, which allows you to change the key. So you could take this whole thing, and with the click of one button, you can put it in F or G. And it'll put the whole thing in that key. So it's really, really powerful software. All right, guys, let's go back. So this is the basic idea in the right hand. We have the C minor slide. And that's the basic idea. Okay, now that hit comes on the and of 4. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. And you want to put a little accent there. Feel that? Okay. Called syncopation. We talk about this a lot in our lessons at Piano with Johnny. All right, you're doing a great job. So for the next section, when we get to the F7 chord here, we're going to change the right hand ever so slightly in order to reflect the new chord, okay? And so what we're going to do differently now is instead of sliding up to the E, we're just going to stay on the E flat because this matches the F7 chord better. Anytime you're on the 4 chord, you want to avoid the major third of the key that you're in, okay? So let's go through the first 4 measures, and then we're going to do this little switch here on measure 5, okay? Here it is once more, and this is just exactly what I taught you. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now here's where it changes, and 1, okay? And on the and 1, there's no slide. So you're gonna go and 1, and just hold it, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. You see that there's no slide there? So this is a little different than what we had before, but it's gonna match the chord better, okay? Here, once more, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. That's gonna match this F. And then back to the C7, we're gonna go back to that slide. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, for the final section on the G7 chord, I like to use the E flat, not the E on this chord. So I like to go and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. That's the same thing we did on the F chord. So just the same thing, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. Okay, this carries over, okay? And there should actually be a tie here in the lesson sheet. That's okay. So that ties over, and 2, and 3, and 4. Back to the C7, and 1. There's the slide, and 2, and 3, and 4, and we're gonna hit this C minor chord, and then go to those hits on that G7. Now for these hits on the G7, we're using a massive G7 chord. We've got F and G on the bottom, B, D, and G on the top. So it's just a huge way of playing a G7 chord. So make sure your thumb is sharing these 2 notes, and we're just gonna hit this 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and then and 1. And we're back to this chord, and 1. Okay, does that make sense? So once more, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. we're back into this chord. All right, guys, let's put the hands together. You're doing such a great job, and I'm going to walk you through every single note and every single beat. So you're going to have this absolutely down without question, okay? All right, guys, here's the cool thing. This actually starts with the right hand alone, okay? And then the left hand comes in 1. That comes in with the slide. And 1. You guys see that? E goes with the C on the bottom, okay? And 1. And is together. 2. That's together. And then 3 is together. You guys see that? And 4. And. Okay? I know it sounds really weird when it's slow, but when you speed it up, super cool, okay? So we want these crush notes. This is a huge part of playing blues and jazz music, is you want that clash, you want that dissonance, because when you resolve it, when you have the resolution, it sounds really cool, okay? Once more, guys, right hand first, and 1, and 2, and that's together, and then 3, and 4, and then guess what, guys? From here, it's the same thing. 1, that's just comes in by itself with the E. 1 and 2 is the same thing. And 3 and 4 and again, this is measure 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and measure 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and guess what, guys? This is that anticipation to the next phrase, which is on the F7. Okay, let's go ahead and start here. Starting with the left hand. 1 and is together. 2 and 3 and 4 and actually that sounds really cool when you put the hands together slowly. Okay, continuing through the next measure. 1 and is together. 2 and 3 is together. And 4 and then that quick 5-1 anticipation and now we're back to the C. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then here's that anticipation and 1, okay, and 1, so make sure you're there, and 2, you guys see it, and 3 and 4 and we're now to the next chord. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and now back to the C7 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then now the final chord, and we're going to do a strike here to set up the final chord, the G7. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and this is just a big G7 chord when we're playing rock and roll, especially Jerry Lee Lewis kind of piano. Okay? You want some big chords in there. So this is just a big G7 chord. It's a really cool way of playing it, where you put the 7th and the root on the bottom, the 3rd, the 5th, and the root. And you get this massive dominant 7th chord, and that is super fun to play. All right, guys, let's keep going here. And what I want to do is I want to put the hands together, but kind of go at a slow tempo so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Now, I also want to point out, guys, if you have questions for me, you can actually ask me questions about the piano in our live events at Piano with Johnny. We do a monthly Q&A and a monthly live workshop lesson where my students can ask me questions live. We have a ton of fun. The students learn a lot. So if you want to learn more about this and you have specific questions that, Johnny, I'm struggling with this, or the fingering, or, why does this chord work here or there, you can ask me live in our monthly live events. All right, guys, let's go and put the hands together, medium, slow. Go ahead and play along with me, and I'll count you off. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. At the very end after those hits, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. go back to that starting position to set up the next measure. All right, guys, it's time to go full tempo. We're gonna use that backing track, and this time I'm gonna take a solo. And I just wanna point out, a lot of the riffs that I'm using in this solo come directly from my Bible of Blues riffs. So if you wanna solo the way I'm about to solo, you can learn a ton of my riffs and my soloing techniques in our Blues Roadmap at Piano with Johnny. So without further ado, let's rock this thing and go ahead and play along. Here we go. Measure 3, measure 4, up to F, nice job, and back down to C, and up to G, down to F, and down to C. Here's the hits.